Often said this on the show, but it's a strange world, isn't it, in the world of Harry and Meghan? Seemingly, they do things that really do shock people, and more importantly, then come away and you wonder, why did they do it? Who advised them? You know, for many years when they decided to split from the British monarchy, we all were aware of their PR company, Sunshine Sachs, and then they really seemingly failed at their job, as ever we have to say, allegedly. Well, they're no longer anyway and quite expensive, but nonetheless, I'm sure they tried their very best. Now, what's fascinating over here, as one can imagine, in the United Kingdom, the second night now for, of course, His Majesty the King, King Charles, in hospital for that very well much publicised operation. One, I thought was very brave to literally tell the world about. Most times you never really get to find out what's happening in the medical world of the royals, and rightly so. I think it should be private for everybody. By the way, if anybody is coming out of hospital today, I hope it all went well, and I hope you have a speedy recovery. And for those going in, think about it this way. It could be like Carry On Doctor or Carry On Nurse. Or for those of a little bit older persuasion, who remembers the Doctor series with Dirk Bogarde? And who remembers also Brigitte Bardot popping up in one of those in the mid-1950s, filming out at Pinewood? I know, full of useful information I am, aren't I? But it might cheer you up if you are going into hospital. As I say, not a fan myself. Think they do sterling work in there. There's just something about those swinging doors when you go through and you think, oh, no, not for me. For me. But back as ever to His Majesty the King and, of course, Meghan and Harry. Fascinating story, this, and one from an impeccable source, let me tell you, because as we know, Meghan and Harry basically don't have the time, as one might find, to go and visit her father, even though he's very ill. Thomas Markle can't be bothered. He's never met him. One brief phone call, that's it. What's interesting to note now, though, is, and this, as I say, is from an impeccable source, it was muted back to His Majesty the King, would, of course, he welcome perhaps a Zoom recorded message from, yes, none other than Archie and Lily. Now, these are two grandchildren that sadly for him, he has not really been allowed to connect with on any single level, as we told you before. But it's fascinating, isn't it? Because some people might suggest this is something of an olive branch. It's something that Harry and Meghan seemingly do time and time again, as ever, allegedly. They dangle a carrot and then pull it back. Now, what you have to remember about this particular idea is simply this. When you think about it, they could have enjoyed an historical day with their grandfather, could they not? At the coronation on May the 6th last year. That would have been memorable. So to send a message over on Zoom to someone that they barely know, and yet, as I've said, Meghan and Harry can't be fagged to send out a message back to her father, Thomas Markle. So one might suggest, why on earth does it work for one person and one for another? Of course, let's not forget himself, His Majesty the King, is very connected and a worldwide icon. I don't mean that in a cruel way, but he 100% is. So some might also say it's rather beneficial, isn't it? Then again, you've got two grandchildren who are basically connecting all through a digital platform. Now, all I can tell you is this. So far, the idea of this particular message wasn't, shall we say, particularly well received. And who can blame him? But again, Harry and Meghan are always ready to twist it a little bit further. It is a developing story. When I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.